Hi guys, Mrs. Hall here. This is part 1 of our Avoiding Plagiarism unit, and we're going to do part 1 today. So, introduction here. What is plagiarism? You might already know, you might have no idea, but here's an example. Suppose you're really good at jokes. I'm going to tell you a joke here. I really like goofy kid jokes, so here's one. What do you call a cow, C-O-W, with no legs? Ground beef, because it has no legs, it's on the ground. Ha! So your example, you didn't just tell these jokes, you made them up yourself. Now, I had heard that one, I didn't make it up, but as our example, let's say you made up a joke. You're really proud of that joke. Now imagine if one day you heard someone else telling your joke. It might be okay with that, it might kind of annoy you a little bit, but that person telling the joke never said that it came from you. I heard this joke from so-and-so, it's pretty funny. They're passing it off as if they wrote the joke. That's plagiarism. Plagiarism is borrowing someone else's words, ideas, or creation without giving them any credit. So if I did something and you took that and turned it in as an assignment or told someone else without giving me credit, that's plagiarism. When you research a topic online, in a book, a magazine, or anywhere else, and you use the author's words or ideas in your own writing without giving that author credit, that's plagiarism. It's not good. Basically, it's cheating. I wouldn't even say basically, it is cheating. You should avoid doing it at all costs. When you get to high school, it's extremely serious. When you get to college, it's extremely serious. When you get into the real world and you're at a job, a career job, and you turn in work that is not yours, that potentially could have big problems for you. If you're in a college class, you could fail the class. If you're in a job, you could get fired. It's serious. So you turn in work that is only yours, or you give the original person credit. The problem is, a lot of students plagiarize without even realizing it. So we're going to practice not doing it. Here's some examples. Exercise 1, recognizing plagiarism. We're going to look through this article called The Hungry Venus Flytrap. And then we'll look at some different ways students have used this information in their own writing. Now, it's going to be on the next slide. I'm going to read through it with you. There's also a separate file, a PDF file, and an image file of this Hungry Venus Flytrap article on Google Classroom if you want to look at it there. So let's read about the Hungry Venus Flytrap. So here's a picture of one here. The Hungry Venus Flytrap. If you're a fly, happily going about your business in most parts of the United States, your biggest worry will be a bat, a spider, or even a human who doesn't want you in their house. But if you happen to be a fly living in North or South Carolina, you'll have to deal with one other major threat, a plant called the Venus flytrap. Why is it a threat? Because if you're a fly or any other type of insect, you could very well be that plant's next dinner. While most plants get all the nutrients they need from sun, soil, and water, Venus flytraps happen to grow in soil that is too low in nitrogen to meet their needs. To make up for that lack of nitrogen, they get it by consuming insects. How do they do it? First, they attract insects by displaying a red, lush-looking interior, tricking them into thinking it's a flower. Once the insect lands inside, it brushes up against one of the hairs that pokes out of that red interior. The first time it brushes by, the flytrap ignores it. This keeps it from snapping shut on things like raindrops. As soon as the insect touches a second hair, it's the end of the line for that insect. The jaws of the flytrap clamp shut in as little as 1/10 of a second, trapping the insect forever. Once it has its prey locked in, the flytrap releases digestive juices that immediately start to break down the insect's body. A few days later, the jaws reopen, and the dried-up leftovers of the insect blow away. Now at the bottom, here it says this chapter appears on page 8 of the fake book, The Great Outdoors, and it was written by someone called Samantha Buglover, published in 2013 by Best Press, which is in Seattle, Washington. This is Joe. Joe is writing a report about the Venus flytrap for school. One of his sources is the article we just read. Your job is to tell Joe when he is plagiarizing. If you're in a group, think about your answer first, then check with your group. Try to reach an agreement. For most intents and purposes here, you're going to be on your own. So you're going to take a guess whether the examples are plagiarism or not. Ready? Here's one sentence. The Venus flytrap attracts insects by displaying a red, lush-looking interior, tricking them into thinking it's a flower. So Joe wrote this up here at the top, these 3 lines. Is this plagiarism or not plagiarism? Take a guess. Think out loud to yourself. Is it plagiarism or not? That is plagiarism. And here's why. Let's compare Joe's writing with the article. What Joe wrote is on the left. The Venus flytrap attracts insects by displaying a red, lush-looking interior, tricking them into thinking it's a flower. Now in the article over here, first they attract insects by displaying a red, lush-looking interior, tricking them into thinking it's a flower. The orange text is exactly the same. Joe only changed first they to the words the Venus flytrap. Everything else he took word for word. He copied almost an entire sentence, word for word, into his own report. Definitely plagiarism. Here's another example. Here's Joe up here writing. In The Hungry Venus Flytrap, Bug Lover explains that the Venus flytrap has a bright red center, which makes it look like a flower. This makes insects attracted to it. So, looking up here, is this plagiarism or not plagiarism? Think to yourself, take a guess. Plagiarism, not plagiarism. Not. And here's why. Joe put the information from the article into his own words. He also gave credit to the author, so this is not plagiarism. Good job, Joe. Here's a third example. Joe's writing up here. This plant happens to grow in dirt that is too low in nitrogen to meet its needs. To make up for that lack of nitrogen, it gets it by eating insects. Plagiarism or not plagiarism? Take a guess. Plagiarism or not? Plagiarism. And this is why. Ha, Joe. Okay, Joe's words here on the left in orange, article words here on the right. Lots of exact same information. He only changed out a couple words. So Venus flytraps, he changed to this plant. He changed soil to dirt. He changed there to its. He changed they to its. And he added the verb eating insects instead of consuming. So it's pretty much the same, Joe. There's no credit to the original author. He only changed a few words. Didn't credit the author, still plagiarism. Here's a fourth example. Up here, here's Joe's article. The Venus flytrap needs to eat insects because they contain nitrogen, which is a nutrient the plant needs and can't get from the soil it grows in. Plagiarism or not plagiarism? Take a guess. Not plagiarism. Sort of. And here's why. He still used his own words, but he did not give the author credit. Joe probably didn't know the ins and outs about the nitrogen and the nutrients in the soil, so he needs to say where he got that, according to Samantha Bug Lover, the author of that article. So this is better. Example 5, one more. According to Samantha Bug Lover, the jaws of the flytrap clamp shut in as little as 1/10 of a second, trapping the insect forever. Is this plagiarism or not plagiarism? Take a guess here on example 5. Plagiarism or not? Not. In this case, Joe used the author's exact words here in orange, but he gave her credit, Samantha Bug Lover, down here. And he put quotation marks around the words that were exactly from the article. So now that you know what plagiarism is, we're going to be practicing some ways to avoid it here in the coming days.